Hello everyone, welcome to OpenLine. Good show tonight. Talking all about Metro schools, plenty to discuss, and happy to have with us Dr. Shawn Joseph, the Executive Director of Metro Schools. Dr. Joseph, thank you for being here.
Fantastic, great to be here. Thank you for having me.
You were here right after you started.
Yes.
Here in Nashville, 18 months ago. So it's been 18 months. And so what do you think? What's been the biggest change you feel has happened in the 18 months since you've been here?
You know, the biggest change is we have a clear strategic plan now, and I think the board and I are working great together. I think that you know, we're clear about what we want to accomplish, and I mean, we've been working really hard to try to give kids more access, more rigorous opportunities, and you know, just thinking about how do we make this a great place for staff and students.
What's been the biggest challenge in these 18 months? As you kind of look back and assess these 18 months, what do you think has been one of the bigger challenges you faced? You
know, the biggest challenge, I think, has been getting everybody to realize we're one Nashville. I mean, I think we were kind of divided. I mean, we came in with the charter versus non-charter situation, and then, I mean, a lot of it is, I guess, compounded by funding. You know, I mean, everybody's competing for dollars, and we've got limited dollars, trying to make sure our schools are fully resourced, and trying to find a way to get the resources that we need in our schools has been, you know, it's always on my mind. And as I've been going around speaking to teachers and speaking to students, you know, I'm trying to listen to understand we'll never be able to solve the resource problem immediately. So the question becomes, as if it's going to take time, how do you prioritize and coordinate in a way where people feel like there's momentum and progress moving forward? And we feel like we did that, you know, in last year's budget, and now we're in a New Year's budget, and we'll be ready to see how we do.
When you came in, there's no doubt the charter debate was huge. It was raging, and it was very divisive. Do you think we've made progress? Are we less divided than when you came in? You know, kind of where do you think we are on that?
Yeah, we're definitely less divided, but I still think attention, you know, is still there. But look, we want great schools, and we want in every neighborhood, we want children to have a quality choice. And I think, and I'm a believer, parents ought to have a choice, and that's why we're looking forward to you know, our January 23rd School Choice Festival. You know, at that festival, we have a combination of, I believe, 77 district schools and 26 charter schools will be present. And we'll all come together and give families an opportunity to see, you know, 103 schools within our district as they decide to make, you know, a good choice. But over the course of the year, I mean, we've worked to intentionally try to collaborate more within the charter sector, because look, I want charters in this district to be just as successful as our non-charter schools, and so there's a lot of work that needs to be done to continue to collaborate, but I do think we're making progress, and we're, you know, talking about best practices, and we're looking for ways to better collaborate. So I'm very optimistic about, you know, what's going to happen in the future. And we can talk more about that as it goes on. We encourage people to call in with their questions. There's the number 615-737+, 615-737-7587. Another question on people's minds. Friday, we're looking at snow. I know.
So what do you think? How reluctant are you to make a call on school based on a forecast? In other words, nothing has fallen out of the sky yet.
Right.
And yet it's supposed to happen maybe in the afternoon, and that's what they're even talking about Friday.
Yeah.
Do you make that call? How difficult is that?
Well, I learned on January 6th, 2017, that Nashville doesn't like snow, and so we monitor the weather very closely, and we'll monitor it. But if we're pretty sure that there's going to be snow, knowing the environment, you know, we'll call off, and we want to do it as early as possible for parents to be able to make the adjustments. But then again, you don't want to call off and then not a drop of snow comes down. So we'll wait until we're pretty confident. You know, we work with the Office of Management, Emergency Management, and our team's on 24 hours. And you know, I get a 4 o'clock call in the morning, and we start talking about all the conditions. We have people checking the roads, and we try to make the best decision. But again, the tricky part happens when it's going to happen in the afternoon, because we don't want to have, you know, 86,000 kids in school and then need to make a decision to cancel school early or anything like that. So I think if we're pretty confident there's going to be snow, knowing the traffic patterns, I'm much more cautious now in year 2 than I was in year 1. So
because you came from Maryland,
right?
Maryland can handle snow a little differently,
right? I mean, we still closed, but we can handle snow a little differently for sure.
All right. When you came in, there was a transition team report.
Yes.
They had a bunch of recommendations.
120.
120 recommendations.
Yes.
I'm just going to read a few and just ask where we kind of stand.
Sure.
If you don't. Determine the feasibility of moving 5th grade to elementary schools. Currently, 5th grade is in middle school.
Yes.
So that was one of the, I guess, recommendations. The feasibility, look into moving 5th grade to elementary schools. Where does that stand? What do you think?
So we looked into that, and the board decided that it just cost too much money. I think it was an astronomical number, like $400 million to do that. And so the question became, what's the benefit of moving kids to the middle school for that cost? Instead, if we had those dollars, why don't we use those dollars to create more programming and options for 5th graders in the middle school, and that's where we landed on that. But it was a robust conversation, and we really looked into how to do that.
And market and promote zoned middle schools to decrease students leaving.
So we're beginning to do that right now. Again, that's what the School Choice Festival can help us do, because schools will have an opportunity to talk about all the great programs that they have, and we've actually set some dates to have families visit schools. We have Tour Tuesdays, and those dates will be, sent out and publicized for families to be able to, go to an actual school and walk through and see what the building is like. But within our communications office, we've added a marketing manager to help look at our programs, because we've got great things happening in our schools. For example, we're about to establish 5 new magnet schools at the elementary level, and next year we're also going to be including a new early college where students will start in 9th grade on the campus of Nashville State College, and they'll graduate. When they graduate in 12th grade, they'll graduate with a degree, an associate's degree, as well as their high school diploma, and that'll be focused in IT, and that's a new program that we're going to start next year. So there are lots of great programs. We've got to get it out to families, so families know it's out there and can get excited about the possibilities.
The notion of school choice, it wasn't around when I went to school.
Right.
The essence is, I guess what? You can describe it, but a kid could go to any school he wants to go to. He could go outside his own school. Is that essentially right?
Yeah, so right now we have 103 schools that have availability, meaning they have space to bring students in who are not within their neighborhood. So my kids, for example, they go to their local neighborhood school, but I'd have an option as a parent if for some reason my daughter was into music at high school. I would definitely look at Nashville School of the Arts because they have a phenomenal program and they specialize in students who have an interest in music. Similarly, if I wanted to focus on aerospace engineering, I wanted to be a pilot, well then if McGavick has a program in aerospace engineering, and if I lived in the Pearl Cone cluster, as long as I could get to McGavick, I'd have an opportunity to do that. So we're hoping when we allow students an opportunity to focus on their interests, they'll be more excited about being in school, and student achievement would be much better.
Another thing on this team report, reaffirm district's commitment to diversity.
Yeah.
So where do you think we stand? It's a very diverse district.
Mm-hmm.
Some are worried neighborhood schools kind of segregate people and that kind of thing. Where do you think we stand on diversity?
I think the board has demonstrated great commitment with diversity. Prior to me becoming superintendent, that was the case. We actually had a diversity plan within the district, and that's one of the reasons we have so much choice, to give families options to go from one place to another, and we're committed to that. We're committed to that diversity. I just updated that diversity plan. We'll be sharing it with the board soon. But more importantly, we're looking at how do we make sure we show our children and families that we value them and we value their parents. It's work that has to happen. We've got to do a much better job with family engagement and really getting out into our diverse communities and understanding our communities and ensuring that our schools reflect the diversity and values, and we learn from one another, and we create opportunities to learn from one another within our schools.
How do you do a better job of family engagement? How do you think you go about doing that and getting that out there?
Yeah, so we have family specialists in schools. I think we've got to do a better job just reaching out to families and understanding what their desires are. You know, why do families come to our district? Why do families leave our district? We've got to spend time getting out into the community, into our churches, into our synagogues, into our mosques, and you know, just building connections with families, so families know that the school cares about them, knows about them, and wants to work with them as an equal partner. I mean, I think we have great opportunity to really look at our policies to give parents more voice within our schools. I mean, some districts across the country have done that very well, and it's a way to, you know, parents feel ownership within their schools.
The best schools, no doubt, have lots of participation from the parents.
Right.
One other thing before we go to break, and we're just setting the table here, then you can call in with questions. Conduct a compensation study. How does Metro compare to surrounding districts? And focus on recruitment for hard-to-fill areas like bus drivers, substitute teachers, and teachers.
Exactly.
So how do we stand compensation-wise, and what about some of these hard-to-fill positions?
Yeah, so we have a compensation study underway. It'll be done in February. So we believe we're about average with the region. I mean, we're competitive in the region, but when you're hiring 900 teachers a year, it's not a regional competition; it's a national competition. And so we need to look at you know, not only how we're paying teachers regionally, but nationally. Look, recently we've been told that it takes about $70,000, I believe, to live comfortably in Nashville. You know, if you're a paraeducator or a bus driver, you're making $12 an hour or $14 an hour. That's not enough to sustain a livelihood, and we understand that. And you know, they're very important positions. And so we're looking at what we can do to make sure we have a livable wage for those critical positions. And you know, as we show teachers that we value them. I mean, teaching is one of the most noble professions, you know, in the world, and it's one of the most important professions in the world. We've got to have our salaries reflect that, because right now they're okay, particularly when you start. You know, a starting teacher will make in the high $40,000 range. We have extraordinary benefits, but over time, you know, I think the incremental growth makes it difficult to sustain if you're you know, a family, a new family. So. And
that's right, cost of living. I mean, we talk about that on this show a lot. In Nashville, that would be tough if you're a bus driver.
Yes.
Certainly a substitute teacher.
Yes.
Maybe your pool there is retired. I don't know. That can't be your full-time job, and you can't live in Nashville.
Right.
So I don't know if you're going out and hiring people from other counties, or how you fill those jobs, but that has been a challenge.
It's been a challenge. I mean, we have been down, you know, about close to 100 teachers over the course of the year, about 100 educators over the course of the year. And when it comes to finding substitutes, that's a difficult challenge. And those are challenges that we have had for years, and we just have to find a good solution.
That kind of sets the table. So if you want to call in, there's the number, 615-737-PLUS, 615-737-7587. Jeff, Chris, hold on the line. We'll take a break. Be back right after this.